We call the Stigler Board of Education meeting of January 12th, 2026 to order. Those in attendance are Jennifer Turner, Brett Orm, Kenny Whitson, Carly Stubblefield, and David Huggins. At this time, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance and prayer by Miss Kinsey Miller.
Dear Heavenly Father, I come before you tonight with our board and administrators. I humbly ask you to guide them and direct them in providing our students and staff with knowledge and guidance that is in the best interest of everyone involved. It is in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you,
Thank
Kinsey.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, approval of the minutes of the December 8th, 2025 meeting.
Any changes?
No changes.
Make a motion to approve minutes.
I second.
A motion by Kenny to approve the minutes of the December 8th, 2025 meeting, seconded by Carly. Kenny,
Yes.
Carly,
Yes.
Brett,
Abstain.
Jennifer,
Abstain.
and David, yes. Approval of encumbrances.
Okay, we have a few, not too many, because it was over the Christmas holidays, but some of the bigger ones, 323, 324, 325, those are all the lit grant. There's some headphones, some phonics, and some science reading. 328, that's a walk-in cooler unit for the middle school cafeteria. 330, that's another part of that lit grant. Go down a little bit more, 335, that's for pads for football. 337, that's phonics curriculum for kindergarten, first grade out of the Strong Readers Act. And if you go to the next page, 70153, that's for payroll encumbrance for new employee, our grade school custodian. And 80119, that's on the next page, that's our Oklahoma teacher empowerment stipends. And that is our encumbrances.
Make a motion we approve the encumbrances as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Brett to approve the encumbrances as presented, seconded by Jennifer. Brett,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Kenny,
Yes.
Carly,
Yes.
and David, yes. Other financial reports.
Okay. Okay, we have on it for December, about 77,000 in bill, that's about 10,000 less than last year. But last year we got the playground equipment at the grade school through that grant, the pipeline company. So they're kind of about the same, you know, it varies from month to month. The payroll's up, more than it even normally is, and that's because of our OTEP stipends, that's our teacher empowerment. And those of our teachers that are here today, they get the lovely joy of presenting, so they're excited. And our lit grant, but overall, you can see down here, we're at 4.5, we're in really good shape financially. And I think the next one's important for us to realize when we talk about our building at the end. Right now we have 1.753 in our building fund. So that's going to be important when we talk about our project at the grade school. Child nutrition at 63,000. Like remember we talked about last month. We're just now getting our getting everything in, our claims in. They couldn't do that until we get that our new application approved. Last year at this time we had about 56,000, so we're still doing better than last year. Overall, we're in solid financial shape and ready to move on. That is the financial report.
So go ahead with the,
think,
I think she's called.
I think they're on the phone.
Our next is our okay.
Our next is the Patton and Odom CPA's 2025 audit.
It's not gonna let me answer it. I'm gonna go to rates, all right?
Okay. Let's see.
How do you start?
Good.
Hello? Oh, Okay, Jan, this is Tom. We're gonna wait and let Melissa get you on speaker. I'm not exactly sure how she has to kind of hold down on it or something, so just 1 second.
Jan, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, I think so.
Yes. Okay. Are you all ready? Do you guys have a copy of your audit?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, super. Well, as I go through this, if you have some questions along the way, you just stop me anytime and we'll talk about it. And we're gonna do your audit exit for fiscal year 25, June 30th, 25 as of. And so we're gonna start with page 1. And this particular start of the audit is the independent auditor's report. And this auditor's report, it's about 3 pages, a little bit lengthy, but it just tells you some information about our report, and it tells you that we present an opinion and that we our qualified opinion on a regulatory basis. We have to state this because you don't operate on a accrual basis of accounting. You don't count your fixed assets, and so in your financial records. So you operate under the regulatory, which is what the state allows you to do, and so that's no problem. But because of that, in accounting terms, we have to state that and state that that part of it's a qualified opinion just because it doesn't have the fixed assets listed in it. So it's not a big deal there. So, and again, it talks a little bit more about that adverse opinion has to do with the U.S. Generally accepted accounting principles. That shows up in there too. And then the basis of opinion, we talk a little bit about how we come across our audit. You know, when we audit schools, we don't look at every single piece of paper that comes across the desk. We take samples, and our samples are based on past things that happen or past expenditures, the types of expenditures you have, and we determine what our sample is going to be. And then we look at every category that has to do with your financial records, and we again take those samples and then we base our judgment on that. And so that is how we come about with our opinion. On the next page, again, talks some more about basis of adverse opinion and more about the generally accepted accounting principles. The next part is the responsibilities of the management of the financial statements. These are the district's financial statements. And your staff is always really good at getting everything ready for us to review and ask questions about in all the areas that you have financial information. They do a good job at that, and they help us tremendously getting everything together. So, and that is your responsibility as a district. Our responsibility is to take those reports and the information that we have, and we test them, sample and test them, and determine whether they're fairly stated and if they're free of material misstatements. And that's how we come about with our opinion. And we did not find any problems with your records. We have a little on page 3. We talk a little bit about supplementary information. There's a few extra reports in there that aren't absolutely required, but we put them in there because they do deal with your financial records. On page 4, we'll look at the first schedule that you'll see. And this particular schedule, it lists all of your funds, your general fund, your special revenue. That special revenue is your building fund and your child nutrition, and we'll break those apart in reports as we go through the audit. The debt service, trust and agency, that trust and agency is your activity account, and then a balance as of June 30th. So if you look at the bottom of that page, you see total fund balance just above the last line, and that's your actual fund balance, and you'll see that amount repeat itself in the next schedule or two. So as you go across there, you'll see what you ended with June 30th, 2025. You'll flip to page 5. This gives a little more information for you. It gives in those various columns, again, your general fund, special revenue, debt service. And this revenue collected, we show you, we break it into parts. We show you the different sources that revenue comes to schools in, and we put those amounts for each of the funds for those sources. We talk about expenditures paid, list those, and those are broken down in different categories. All of this has to do with the OCAS information that your staff spends endless hours coding. And so because of that coding, we're able to break those apart and get them into particular classifications so that you see where those expenditures and revenues come from. As you go down that column, if you look at the very bottom of the column, you see a fund balance at the beginning of the year and a fund balance at the end of the year. So as you can see, that general fund grew quite a bit. That was a very nice increase there at the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Special revenue went down some, but we'll see what happens to that when we see the revenue of building and child nutrition in a moment. And then the debt service, we've had the debt service there that we got a little bit in, so it was posted. It didn't make it grow too much. If you'll flip the page, you're going to see some repeat columns here for our actual column. We call this our original budget to actual, and the original budget is just that. It's what we set up at the beginning of the year for you based on your historical information, what you get from your what they tell you they think you're going to get in your allocations, and your valuation is going to come through for your ad valorem. It shows up there. And then the estimates of the expenditures, that is just that based on what you've done before. And then it balances out at the end of the year. For that particular column, it's going to be a 0. And final budget column, the middle column, that just tells you that that was your final budget. If any other monies came in that were unexpected, we would put them there. But there was none. It would have been like some special grants or something, and so there was none to add to that original budget, so it stayed the same. The actual budget column is the exact same column you just looked at on the previous page, and you get down to the bottom there on the beginning of the year, and you saw that beginning balance and ending balance. Same is true with the next side there on the page, and it's original, actual, or budget and actual. And those two columns are the same. So when we see those columns in building fund and child nutrition later, we'll notice that those are the same because we'll have the same kind of report there. And then that actual column, and you go down to the bottom and you see the same amount that we started with and what we finished with. So if you flip the page, we're going to start with the notes. And we're not going to go over all these notes. I'm glad that won't disappoint you guys. I bet it won't. There's a lot of notes here, so I'm not going to go over all the individual pages. There is some good information in this as far as just definitions and terminology about school finance. So if you ever think that you need to know something, you might be able to find it in here. And it's just general information for you, and it pertains to your school, and just talks about the different funds you have at the school. So let's just cruise on over to about page, let's see, about page 13. There if you had any debt, we would define that debt in that in some of those paragraphs, but you did not have any debt. Let's see. At the top of page 14, general long-term debt, that's where it tells you, that's where that would be on number 3, but there was none, so there was none to put. Number 4 there, employee retirement system. This tells you a little bit about the retirement system from the Oklahoma Education Association, and it gives a description of the plan. All of this comes right out of that retirement booklet, and you are a lot more information in there, but that's where it's drawn from. And down toward the bottom, we give you your annual pension costs. We carry that for 3 years, so you see the comparison in 3 years as far as the total contribution for you. And then the total district payroll for 24-25, we list what that was. You flip the page to litigations on the top of page 15, number 5. We'd like for that to be short because that tells you there were no litigations against the district that you needed to worry about as of 6/30/25. Risk management, this talks about workers' comp insurance that you're a part of. It gives you, well, I'm looking for the amount. That must not give you any amount in that. That's another kind of insurance. So you are a part of the district, the OSAG is that acronym for that program. Surety bonds, down at the bottom of that page. We look to see that you're up on your surety bonds, and every year those have to be renewed for your particular positions, and they're for certain amounts. And those are required, and the state tests those, and as do we, to make sure. And you guys always have those up to date. You go to page 16. 16 is going to show you what that special revenue was, the one we talked about with building and child nutrition. Again, it's separated into columns, so you see the cash for building and child nutrition, outstanding warrants in child nutrition, and then on the next to the bottom it says total fund balances. So you see those funds in both building and child nutrition. And the next page has that same kind of report that we saw with the general fund in the front of the audit. But in this particular one, you see building, child nutrition, and you come on down there toward the bottom and you see the beginning of the balance of the year for building, and the same for child nutrition. So child nutrition went up a bit. The building went down. We must have done some projects with that building money, and so it went down a little bit. You go to page 18. 18 talks about your gift fund and activity funds. It gives you your cash and that gift fund and investments that are listed there, and same with activity fund as far as the cash is concerned. Activity fund had some outstanding warrants, and then total fund balance. Gift fund had 16,468.25, and that activity fund, and we'll look more into that with sub accounts as we go through, had 419,886.66 in total fund balance for that fund. Page 19 shows you a little more information on your gift fund, where your investments and your interest and donations are, and then the expenditures that was spent out of that fund. You've got a beginning of the year and an end of the year, so we went down just a little bit. We spent a little bit more than what we had last year, mainly, I imagine about the same, but then we had some less collections, I think. On page 20, this is the building fund, and it's the original to actual building fund that we saw earlier. Again, no different. You have your original and final, and it's the same, so then you go to your actual, and that's the one that's been repeated for a couple times. Same kind of report on page 21, your child nutrition. Same setup. It's the same across the board. Their original budget to final are the same, and then your actual, which we saw. Page 22 and 23 probably. Yeah. We've got 2 pages here for the schedule of federal awards expended. We call this the CFA. And this is our report that shows the federal government the amount of federal funds that you received throughout year 25, or 24-25 for your fiscal year 25. We give you a list of all the programs that you participate in as a district, and information about those programs. And you might notice on the titles, you see some asterisks beside some of them. And that's because they are major programs, and any of the ESSER programs in the past several years that we've had ESSER money or COVID money, that's always been a major program in our programs. It's required. It's not required. It's always suggested, and we pick them each time. And so anything that would have an asterisk by it, which is also the child nutrition on the next page, that's major programs. In major programs, we look at things with a little closer eye. We break them apart and test those expenditures in there and make sure that you're in compliance with the requirements. All of these federal programs have very special requirements, and you have to spend that money accordingly. You can't just spend it on anything you want to spend it on. It has to be approved to start with. It has to be an allowable expenditure. And all of these claims you have to expend before you receive the money. So you expend them, you make a claim, and you get money back, testing to be sure that you got the money back that you made the claim with. So most of these are claimed to the State Department of Ed, and some otherwise, but most of them run through there. You've got direct programs, your Indian Ed program, and that's direct to Washington. That's where that gets claimed to and returned for reimbursement. So the right part of the columns there, you see a balance at July 1st of 24, receipts that are receipted in, any transfers out, expenditures that are expended out, and then you have a balance at June 30th, 25. Now, all this is if you see some items in parentheses in that left column there, that's because you had an outstanding claim that didn't get paid as of June 30th, 24. Same is true on the far side of the page, June 30th, 25. That would be your claims that were made as of, or at least as of June 30th, but had not hit the bank or been paid yet. But we always check to be sure that those do come in, so we can make sure you're getting your money back. Again, those are reimbursable. These programs are reimbursable, and it's important that you get them claimed and get your money back. Your staff does an outstanding job at working at getting those done timely and keeping up. There's a ton of paperwork, as each of those programs have a very thick requirement page that gives a lot of information. So it's not easy to keep up with all those, and I commend your staff for the job that they do because they work hard at that. On the next page of the CFA there, you see that child nutrition. This is your child nutrition program. It has an asterisk. It was also a major program. The child nutrition cluster was. And so we test those and try to make sure that you've filed claims timely, you've received that money back where it belongs, and then look at those in different eyes. The bottom part of the page lists some more programs for you. They're not major, but they are your programs that you participate in. And then under expenditures at the bottom of that last page, you see you have $4,114,686.64. And that's the amount of expenditures you were provided by the federal government to help you with different programs. You didn't have that. A lot of things that you do extra for the kids wouldn't be there because you wouldn't have the funds to do it, more than likely. So it's a lot of hard work on the staff, but it is good for the teachers and the kids to provide programs for the kids that need to have extra help in their education. On the next page, 24, that is notes to the schedule of federal awards. And this kind of goes over the basis of the presentation, and it explains just what I just got through going over with you. And the summary of significant accounting policies. Again, it's on a regulatory basis of accounting and prepared that way. Food distribution, the non-monetarily assistant is your amount of commodities that you receive from the federal government and used in your child nutrition programs. If you look on page 25 and 26, this is your activity fund. And I told you we'd look again at those because they're all broken apart in sub-accounts. We list all of those sub-accounts for you, and you will recognize these because at the first of the year you approve the sub-accounts, you approve the reason they want to have them, what fundraisers are going to be doing, and what they're going to use that money for. And so, there's a lot of cash that goes in and out of hands in this particular these sub-accounts, and you have a sponsor, and then you have a way to make money, and then that has to get in at certain times. There's a lot of requirements that your staff does an excellent job at keeping up with it because that's all out at the sites for almost every one of those sub-accounts, not there in your admin building. So they have to really stay after the others that, collect that money and get that money back to get posted in for depositing in the bank. And it's just real important they don't hang on to it. So your girls and guys do a great job at working at that. So that particular page and the next page shows you your balance as of July 1st, 24, all the deposits that were made in those sub-accounts, transfers that went in and out, your disbursements that went out as expenditures, and then the balance at 6/30/25. So you show all of those various funds and the amount that they had to start this school year off with. And 26, again, you have all of those listed for you. You've got totals at the end of that. You see deposits. You had $633,806.78 in various sub-account activity fundraisers that they earned and receipted money in. So let's turn to the next page. This is 27 and 28. We've got a couple of reports here for you. And there are two because you are a single audit. And single audits mean that you, we'll go back to that federal program part. You received more than $750,000 or you expended more than $750,000 in expenditures. That qualifies you as a single audit. So we have different reports that we put in our audits due to that. So at top of page 27, this reports our report on internal controls over financial reporting and compliance and other matters based on an audit of financial statements performed in accordance with the governmental auditing standards. All of this letter talks to you about our audit, the standards we are required to go by, and then we talk a little bit about internal controls over financial reporting. When we're checking those samples that we test, we want to know if there's a deficiency in internal controls. If we look at that as we're going through there and consider it, if we have to, if we see problems, how serious those problems are, or if there's material weaknesses, if that's a deficiency, a significant deficiency, we talk about that for you in other areas. But you didn't see any of that. You won't see any in this audit for your school because we didn't run across that. The significant or compliance and other matters, this talks about compliance in following policies and procedures that you have set forth in the State Department of Ed stated that must be done or needs to be done. And so if we had issues, we would be talking to you about it. As it says, we noted a couple different things on page 34 that we'll look at and talk about. And the purpose of the report is solely to describe the scope of our testing of internal controls and compliance in the areas resulting in that test, but do not provide an opinion on the effectiveness of your entity's internal control or compliance. We're just testing those and reporting. On the 29, this particular letter is a report on compliance of each major program, federal major program, and on internal compliance required by the uniform guidance. So the uniform guidance guides all of the programs that are participants in the federal program, various federal programs that there are, and that's where you go to find out how you're supposed to spend your money and how you make that budget work. And this letter talks to you about that. We give an opinion on each major federal program, and we've done so, and we have a basis of an opinion on each major federal program that, based on how we conduct the audit and the samples that we are required to take. Responsibilities of the management for compliance. Again, all of those things are your district's requirements. They're your compliance requirements, and you are required to obtain those and make sure that that money's being spent the way you signed off that they would be spent and agreed to. Our responsibility is to see that that's done, that you're following the guidelines, spending the money as you need to or as you're required to, and that you're receiving your money, you're claiming and reimbursement, getting reimbursed by those funds back into your treasurer's report. We have a report on internal controls over compliance. Again, if we saw that those were significant or had a weakness, we would talk with you about it, but we did not find that with your federal programs in this audit. If you go to page 32, 32 is a schedule of findings and question costs, and this particular report at the top there, it goes through some different 1, 2, 3, 4 through 9, And most of those are going to talk about if we had issues. A lot of those would say there would be issues, and these all say there were no instances of non-compliance material to the financial statements of your school, and that there were no audit findings related to deficiencies of internal controls that were significant that we needed to report. So it goes through all of those telling you we did not find the problems that we would be talking about. If we found some, and we would state them. The programs on number 7 state your major programs and what those names were and their CFDA number, or it's now called the AL number. We have to report those to the federal government to show them that you've received that those funds and spent them the way they were necessarily made to be spent. The threshold is an A and B program. It is that $750,000 also. It states you did not qualify as a low auditee for the purpose of testing for federal program expenditures. Again, that has to do with you're on a regulatory basis of accounting, and that's why you don't keep a fixed asset in your financial records. And that, so because of that, you can't qualify as a high risk auditee. So no findings in question were reported for financial audit, and none for major awards, major federal awards also. On page 33, you'll see that's a very short page, summary of prior year audit findings. There weren't any to report to you. On page 34, we've got one comment that we put in, and you know, when we do our testing, we try to see if there's a continuing problem or if it's just a mistake that's made. And if we see that there's something that needs to be addressed, and we try to put it in so that your staff knows, you know, that is something they need to watch. And so this particular condition was you purchased 41 gift cards totaling $1,750 for JOM students and senior awards. So there was no documentation indicating who received the gift cards, nor a significant sheet of individual receiving the gift cards was produced. Recommendation, gift cards are high-risk expenditures. So documentation must be clear, show allowability, purpose, approval, custodial, and a recipient's acknowledgement. For each student recipient, the school should maintain a list reflecting the student's name, award, date card, amount, and signature of the student or parent receiving that. And that's the only condition. Do any of you have any questions about that or anything else in the audit?
Is it Jan? Jan, my name is Brett Orm. I'm a board member. I got just a couple questions,
Okay.
and I think you've answered these over and over, but I'm going to ask it anyway because
Okay.
it's the most important thing to me. So you're saying there were no material issues or material misstatements anywhere in this audit finding?
That's right.
Okay.
If there were, there would be some areas throughout our reports that you would see us talk about those significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, and so they show up about 3 times in our reports if they were some. If we found some that needed to be reported.
Okay, and then the only other question, and I don't know how long Dr. Kettles has had this report. I'm curious if we fixed the gift card issue.
We do. We had they're actually been, Michelle's our JOM administrator. It was in with her. It just wasn't with the PO. But we fixed that.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got them. But we didn't have them with the PO, and we fixed that.
Oh,
They're going to be with
okay.
them now.
Good.
We won't
Well,
happen
that's,
again.
you know, we kind of fuss about gift cards because they are so easy to obtain and give out without any documentation. So we really try to watch that. And if we see that there are some that way, that when we look at that purchase order, if we don't see them, then we don't know that that's the case. And so I do remember that you guys had figured that out, and that didn't happen in any other capacity that we tested. So I'm glad they've taken care of that. Any other questions? Good questions. Well, if you think of some, you can let the staff know or call us, and we'll be glad to help you, or we'll answer any questions that you have that pertains to the financial records. And we wanted you to know we appreciate being your auditor and estimate of needs budget makers, and we always enjoy coming down there. Your staff is pleasant, and they work hard. They have a lot of work to do. We know that, and they take the day to help us get through those records and produce those for us, and just especially for us for that day that we're there. So we appreciate your efforts with what you do as a school board. That's very important. And if you had any questions, you just let us know.
Yeah, we're real proud of these girls too.
I know you are. I think you have something to sign that has to get back to us so we can provide it to the State Department of Ed and the other entities that get these. And once you do that, then you're done with us. So thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Have a good night. All right. Do we need to approve that now? Or go ahead in action topics? Okay, at this time, we have the site teachers with student achievement data. You're on.
I'm gonna turn, I'm gonna get on the other side.
Depends on who's first. I don't know.
You sit here, bro?
No, I'll just.
We're gonna rearrange.
No, I'll just go over here.
Hey, you're fine.
I'm just trying not to get right.
Do I point this here? Oh, no. Aha, we do. We won't spend a whole lot of time on this, but just as far as the A through F report card goes, there are several indicators that go into factoring that. Academic achievement is one of those things. So as our students are, scored basic, proficient, or advanced, that goes into figuring these scores, and priority groups are part of that. That's just kind of an overview of that indicator. As far as the tests go, 3rd through 8th, we have the OSTP for ELA, math and science, and then 11th grade test, it's OSTP for science and the ACT for ELA and math. And like I said, this is just a quick overview. There's a lot of factors that go into this, and we would be here all night if we went into those. So we can make that though. We can do that if you want us to do that sometime. As far as academic growth goes, that's figured with 4th through 8th grade, and that measures the amount of progression that the children are making in consecutive years, and that is scored from ELA and math, again, measured by below basic, basic, proficient, and advanced. Another indicator is our absenteeism. K through 12th. Good attendance is considered 90% or more of instructional days, and we all know that students need to be in the classroom, and they do so much better when they're there. So that is another indicator. Our English learners, they are factored into our A through F report card also, and they take a test to see how they are doing and progressing with their learning. We have post-secondary opportunities as an indicator. This is for grades 11 and 12. And so as far as post-secondary goes, this is one that we're really looking at. We think that we're really close to bumping this up. And so things that go into that, AP coursework, concurrent enrollment, internships, CTE courses that lead to an industry certification. So we actually just had a really good conversation with our Ag Ed department about how we're really close to being able to add, we believe, those CTE courses. So that's really exciting. I think that we're going to be able to bump that up just by utilizing what we're already doing. So many times you're doing a lot of the things, but it's just not getting recorded correctly, or it's not just, the paperwork's not there, or, so there's just like a step missing, and we think we've almost got to that step on the CTE courses. Graduation, so This is kind of an interesting formula too, because it measures like a 4-year, a 5-year, and a 6-year cohort. So, but our graduation rate definitely does go into figuring on our A through F report card. We're still a little uncertain about where we're going with the core curriculum. I know, that by 2030, we're gonna be 4, 4, and 4. So I'm not sure what they're gonna do. This is just all very uncertain. So right now they're saying that our core curriculum kiddos don't count toward our graduation rate, but I'm not sure how that's gonna factor in once we get to 3030 and we're looking at 4, 4, 4, So it'll be interesting to see if our scores plummet. A lot of scores are gonna plummet because we have so many kids that, they're trying to do KTC too, which we believe is, oh my goodness, of such a benefit to them. But to do that, they usually have to take that core curriculum. So that's gonna be interesting to see the next few years. We'll be working to try to hopefully benefit our kids as much as we can with that. Okay, so as far as our A through F report card goes, these were our scores. If somebody from the grade school, would you like to speak to that? Anyone?
Yeah, we can speak, but do you mind just clicking away?
You want me to click?
Yes,
Keep
please. No, so we are going to address each of those areas, and so you'll see that our academic achievement is a C, academic growth is a C, and then our English language proficiency is an F, and our chronic absenteeism is an F, which I know that our overall is a D, which it looks bad, but we are making progress as of like right now. We're making progress on the absentee and the ELL students. So if you don't mind clicking,
I sure can.
And then I think Ms. McGuire is going to talk to you about a mirror, how we're addressing our reading scores.
Yes, we've changed from STAR Early Literacy and STAR Reading to Amira, and it measures how students are reading and not just how they're answering questions. So STAR Early Literacy would give a passage and they answer some questions, and you have like no control over them. They can be just clicking, or guessing or whatever. This actually records them reading. You can go back and listen to it, see what they missed, and they can do that on a daily basis. And so it is stronger aligned with science of reading. It focuses on foundational skills that lead to long-term success, not just getting through the test. And like I said, this is an ongoing thing. So I don't have to wait until a testing window, which is started today. Of course, I would have liked to have those scores, but they're literally coming to my phone as we sit back there, and they are looking promising, but I don't have that data because the internet was not cooperating today. But it is something that in a week, if I find a area that a kid is low in, I work on that, I'm going to be able to see the progress next week, not at the end of the year to see if that. And it also has clearer communication with parents. The reports are easy to understand, and you can literally share the recordings with them, email them a recording, of their kid. And when they hear it, sometimes that changes because you don't know what they're doing at school, and you can, send them one from the beginning of the year, send them one from now, and it definitely makes a difference. And STAR just told us where the student was. It gave us a grade level. It did not give us why they're there or how to get them where they need to be. So I do think that is going to make a difference with our reading scores.
And the area that I'm focusing on tonight is the second grade. We've started some differentiated reading groups, and we're breaking it down. We looked at, each individual student and each one of the second grade teachers. There's 4 of us. We broke them down into small groups. And so we went ahead and done grouping, because we have some of our second graders that are reading on 4th and 5th grade levels that are ready to do a lot of writing. And then we've got some of our second graders that are still recognizing their alphabet. I mean, it's a big difference. So we've broken them down into 4 groups, and we've started on Mondays. We start small, little 30-minute session. We're swapping groups. And plus it gets them ready to swap out when they get to 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. But anyways, and they're enjoying it, so we take and we swap classrooms. Some of them will stay with me. I send 5 to 1 room, each of the other teachers. And we're looking at their reading comprehension, and so we're enhancing some of them with the reading comprehension. They're actually doing a little bit of writing. And Miss Wood is working with the kids and we're improving on their alphabetic decoding. I'm working with them that are working on phonological awareness. You know, A says a, you know, and it also says a. Going back to those basic phonics skills, and then Miss Bryant some of her children were taking it all the way down to forming their letters properly with their pencil. Are they holding their pencil correctly when they're forming their letters? So they're strengthening their letter knowledge. I went through, and our data is not ready yet because we're just now taking our middle of the year test, but I went through and averaged everything, and so far, up to this point, our reading comprehension group, which they didn't have as much room for growth because they were already, you know, pretty high up on the chart. They have went up almost 17%. Our alphabetic decoding group has went up 22.6%. The phonological awareness group is 35.1%, and our letter knowledge has went up 44.6%. So we're extremely proud of our 2nd graders, and they seem to enjoy going, you know, and trying out, you know, another classroom and something new. So that's just something we're trying in 2nd grade. And there's a slide, I think, in a minute, and we'll tell you why we went ahead and chose 2nd grade as the group to look at. But we may go ahead and move this and maybe do it on Fridays too. But right now we've started on Monday, start some, you know, small to see how it's working, and go from there. Got to start somewhere, so.
So to address our English language learners, they participate in a WIDA assessment. And part of the IXL program, there is an assessment that they could practice on to prepare them for the assessment. That's something they practice on daily for 15 minutes. And then also we have students that are taking the assessment. They are offering tutoring sessions 3 days a week and at 1 hour a week. One of the students, they do come and see me, so whatever I'm usually helping him with is usually sight words. He knows how to read, but he doesn't know what the words are because he's an English language learner. So whatever I'm usually working on with him, the tutor, she will continue and reinforce that learning with him. So he not only gets it from, you know, in his regular classroom, from my classroom, and then also from Miss Glory, who comes and participates in there. And to address our attendance, we started in December our Panther Perks. This is a monthly incentive program to encourage students with daily school attendance. Students who only miss 1 per month will receive a Panther Perk. And a Panther Perk is like getting a Starbucks drink to these little children. And they are themed. Last time, because it was during our Christmas time, so we had Grinch, and then what was the other one?
I don't know, that was a wild day.
Something it was wild, but Grinch was green, and that was the hit, and the other one was a pink drink. So
Hollyberry.
Hollyberry. So we have little logos. They have Panther Perks on the cups. They have
Little
stars. They get to put their little toppings on it and ice cream. So it's a really big deal. It was a really big hit because, I mean, last week when students came back, I already had students saying, I'm not missing any this month because I want a drink. I want a Panther Perk. So each time it's themed. Also to address, not only doing Panther Perks, to address our attendance, we are also calling daily. If we see a student's got a chronic, we are calling. Ms. Jackson's on that phone calling those parents. And we also will do home visits. We will go out there and say, you know, they need to come to school. It's important too. But one good thing right now that we are seeing that we are on track of improving that. I think right now, and I may be, so make sure I'm saying this right, Ms. Garber. So we only have 6 students out of our grade school that is getting close to be chronically absent. Everybody else is still within good standing. So that is going to help. So we know that just doing these different incentives is gonna help our students
Great.
come to school. So, but Panther Perks is the hit right now.
Right, I want to
That's it, that's right.
Good job, guys. I think that's pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, middle school, you wanna?
Okay, before I start on middle school, I do wanna say my granddaughter will come to school no matter what's going on because she wants that drink. So that's really helping her.
I was the barista that made her her drink, and she was very
She
excited.
hasn't always been excited to go to school, so that's a big deal to me, because she comes home and talks about that drink all the time. At middle school, our academic achievement is at C, our academic growth is B, the ELPA progress is B, and chronic absenteeism is C, and our overall score is also C. And Mrs. Bourne and I both think that that's wrong, it should be a B minus. But, yeah. And I do have a typo in here, I will apologize for that, that was my fault. I'm known for my typos. Our new programs and ideas that we have implemented that are new this year, because we do a lot of different things to help in a lot of different areas, but these are the things that we have just started this year. We do have an attendance incentive, and students that meet the attendance/grade requirement are exempt from semester tests, and that was a big hit. We had a lot of kids that were so excited because they didn't have to take tests. And I know I have one little girl that would not leave, even though it was her birthday, to go watch the Oklahoma City Thunder until she went to my class because she did not want to have to take the semester test. So that, I mean, that's showing that they really do want to be at school, and they try to reach those goals. We are doing the high dosage reading tutoring. Students receive 3 hours a week of reading tutoring in groups of 2 to 4. The AMERA program, students use AMERA at least 30 minutes per week to help increase reading fluency and comprehension, and they started that at the grade school, and we also do that at the middle school. They do at least 30 minutes per week in their classrooms, and then the students that participate in the high dosage after school reading tutoring, they also do an additional 30 minutes per week. We also have additional small group support in ELA. Mrs. Stubblefield works with students in small groups, and it's kind of like your second grade groups. You know, some of her groups go all the way down to the phonetic awareness and things like that, all the way up to groups that are doing advanced. We have a translator that comes 3 days a week to work with our English language learners, and we have reconstructed our study hall program. At the beginning of the week, or I think it's every day, she goes in and she looks at every single kid's grades, and she checks to make sure that there is nothing that they're missing, and if they are missing it, she helps them with that. And she just does a really good job with that program. It's been very successful.
Okay, so as far as our high school scores go, academic achievement was a D, ELPA progress was a C, absenteeism a B, graduation C, post-secondary B, and overall score was a C. What we noticed though is how close we think we are, and we're going to show you a little bit about that, how close that we may all be, you know, grade school, middle school, high school, in actually like bumping that up a level, and how small the percentage is sometimes between that next level. One thing that we do have K through 12 is IXL, and we needed something to measure like apples to apples and oranges to oranges, and so like some programs they only go like K through 8. And so, but this was one, and this is really skills practice is really what this is. 100 points equals is a grade level gain, and the first number in the hundreds position equals the grade level. The next two numbers equal the month for that year. So like a 730 would be 7th grade, 3rd month. So as far as growth, do you guys want to talk to this? Do you want to speak to this?
On this slide, do you mind doing that since y'all put that information to explain that?
Not at all.
But on the following slides, we can explain.
Okay, so we've got our grade levels, you know, 1st through 4th, And then we've got the level. This would be like this where the kiddos started, like where at all of the average for our first graders was at the beginning of this year. And then this was where they tested just recently. And so as you can see, you know, they are making gains. You can't, as far as IXL goes, sometimes the test scores, I trust the progress, but I don't always trust the test score benchmark because ours figured out how to cheat.
They did. They sure did. Our
And
numbers are all over the place.
And so it's lovely, trying to stay ahead of their games. Anyway, I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute.
Okay. So this will show the gains that our grade school students have gained. So the 40 is going to be, they've been in school 4 months, and that's how we go through there. And Miss Lewis helped me figure all these. She gave me a visual. Thank you so much for that. But so if I'm not saying this correctly,
We had a very fun math lesson.
jump in. So when we figure this, we're looking at the students who had made at least a 4-month progress. So those are added in, but they're all added in with the 100 and the 50 because you're 100, 150, and 200. They also made that 0.4 gains. So for math, at least 4 months is 59%, and for reading is 56%. So those who made like 1 grade level, so for math was 15%, and then reading was 59%. And I really think that is from us using Amira too on that. I
Yes,
think that
this is not as accurate for little ones as Amira is because they like to click IXL
Yeah.
and see the balls bounce.
and for IXL reading, our teachers use it more as like a supplement after they taught the concept. So this is kind of to
Yes.
reinforce it. But so we really look at our Amira scores, not just IXL for the reading. So those who gained, who went up 1.5 grade levels is at 4% for math, and then 38%. Again, I think that is Amira helping them with that. And then that has made more than 2 grade levels. You have the 1% in math and 8%. But as I was looking through all of these, we do have 2nd graders that are reading on 5th grade level. We have 3rd graders reading on 6th and 7th, 8th grade level. So we do have some of those students that are really they're above grade level already, but they may not have made enough gains to be counted, but they're reading on 6th, 7th, and 8th grade level. So there is progress there, and we're very proud of them.
So are the grades that you showed earlier, are they reflective after the gains or before the gains?
Well, this wouldn't figure into those. So the A through F report card would be like the 24-25 school year. So that's what the State Department has on the
Okay,
website
and this
right
is
now.
26?
This
for
is
this school year.
this is first semester. This is what we
Okay.
did first semester.
And this is what we all use as benchmarks because those state tests are just once a year, so we can't use those as benchmarks throughout the year to check growth. So we're able to do this multiple times a year to check growth.
So it'd show trending, we're doing better, or
Yes.
is what you're
Absolutely.
showing?
Yes.
Yes.
A lot. Yeah. This is where I said there would be another slide that showed why we chose 2nd grade as the little group to break
Oh,
down
yeah.
further, is because we didn't have as many children that were up in the green area, and then we had so many that are just almost there. So we
Yeah.
want to do all we can to get the rest of the students there. So that's why we chose 2nd grade
Absolutely.
to do this little small groups.
And this report will show like overall as the state and then for the district grade level. So for example, on kindergarten, because not every school is using Amira. And so, but that is a state program. So like you see at the bottom of kindergarten, there's like over 14,000 students, in which if you look at our kindergarten, I think we have 93, we're at 85% in the green. So we're on level at 85%. So we're higher than the state, as with being, I think, 74% average. So if you see that we are making progress, so they are coming up there.
You know,
I'm
just
excited about
out of curiosity, you know, I guess unless I missed something, with the exception of high school, every campus had horrible absenteeism, if I recall right. And I'm curious as to, you know, 'cause obviously that's gonna affect performance. If you don't show up, you don't perform. And I'm just curious as, you know, what's the driver? Is this still COVID lingering around? Is it virtual stuff? Or what's the driver of the chronic absenteeism?
Well, our littles can't get themselves
Yeah.
to
They-
school,
they
so
can't
they
get
depend
themselves
on
there.
Parents.
their parents to get them up, get them on the bus, or get them to school.
So the parents dropping the ball.
Yeah, I mean, cause they, like she said, our high school students will find a way, my buddy picked me up, whatever, to try to get there. And middle school's, you know, not exactly the same situation, but a little bit, but you know, these littles, they are completely dependent upon.
But you started this year though, calling the parents.
Well, they've done that before, but we're
Yeah.
like now
Like
we're like
going-
we're like daily checking it.
Going
Like,
to see 'em.
yes,
And as
yes.
teachers, most of us, I do, if they're not in my classroom, I'm calling, I miss them, where are they? I love them, I want to see them, you
And
know?
Carla
We're-
Eastham too, as an addition, has done a great job. I know if anybody has reached out to her for like an issue or, hey, we're worried about this kid or whatever, she is on top of it to try to meet with that family or meet whatever needs that they're having that's causing the problem. She's done a very, very good job.
Well, and our high schoolers don't want the SRO officer coming to their house,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so that's another
Is
thing.
is there correlation between your English learners and absenteeism? Is there anything there with all that too? Is it?
There has been. We
Yeah.
just put out a Spanish calendar because.
Yeah,
just for
that's what I was
example,
wondering, if
you
the
know,
parents may not be able to.
I had a student, he was telling his mom it wasn't time to come back to school.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and we use
Smart guy.
Yeah, we mailed her a
Sounds like
copy.
something.
well, and we use the class dojo, and so that translates. So the
Okay.
parents, so it will
Yeah.
translate for the
Okay.
parent, and
Okay.
it'll say when the parent read it, and it'll say translation
Okay.
on there.
There's definitely a correlation between the absenteeism and academic performance. We did
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
cross-referencing that,
Yeah.
and there is definitely, but my results that were coming in just before I came up here, it showed some of the red down there would be that's the urgent intervention, like, and my one student, he was -1, which would have been a pre-K level, and he's now in the blue, which is, I think it was like
Yeah.
kindergarten, 7th month, which is a huge jump. So I'm confident that it's working. And another one that came in was a one on level, and she is now second grade, middle of the year. So it's working for both types of students.
That's great, that's
Great.
great. Just to speak, just very shortly on the, English language students and parents. Now, our situation is actually opposite. Our kids miss school to go translate at the doctor for their parents and their younger siblings. So we have kind of an opposite issue, with that, cause they have to miss school to go translate. So there's that, you know, there's just so much that they're dealing with for sure. Okay,
Okay, there's, our 5th grade, the very first score is at the beginning of the year, and then the second score is in the middle, and, Courtney was talking a little bit ago about, you know, at the beginning of the year, some of our students had figured out a way to cheat. So I think that is what, was bringing down some of our reading scores, because now that they know that we have the Go Guardian and they can't cheat and we're watching them, they're not going on and Googling. I mean, I caught a kid that was Googling every single solitary question on his test. And so, once they know that we are able to watch, then that kind of stops that. And then there was, some programs that we were able to shut down that the kids were
They
finding.
figure it out.
So,
it's every week.
so at the
Yeah,
beginning
poor
of the
Dennis Wright's
year,
up there going,
I
okay,
really
what
feel-
did they hack this week?
yeah,
that
I
we
really
can
feel like some of
knock
the
out?
scores were a little elevated, But keep in mind that those are the averages, not the individual test scores. We have a lot of students that are still working above level. We have 15% are currently at or above grade level in math, and 33%, which is a third of our students, are currently at or above grade level in reading. According to IXL, these are the gains. We have in math, we had from the beginning of the year until the middle of the year, we had 55% of our students had a 40-point gain, which is a 4-month gain, and 56% of our reading students. A gain of 100 points in math, it was 29%, and in reading it was 38%. For gains of a year and a half, we had 16% in math and 28% in reading, and gains of 2 years. To gain two years or more in a matter of 4 months is just phenomenal. And we had 8% in math and 21% in reading. And I do believe that the Amira, because that's a new program for us this year, and if you notice that reading is real, I mean, they're really getting up there in reading. And I do think that the Amira program, adding that, has helped a lot.
So this is our, so here's what I just wanted to show you here.
Look at that.
So you can tell that like in the 9th grade, they had a drop to the second benchmark. They had a drop. These kiddos right here, we found out they were the ones who figured out how to cheat, and they scored like perfect on that skills test. But something else I want to tell you too, we're giving a different test this year, and it took 2.5 hours to take that test.
When it usually took less than 10 minutes. So, because we have them in the arena on IXL every week, so they're up to date on their levels. So that assessment is very short. Literally in math and in English, the high school tests are 2.5 hours long.
So we're gonna talk with Miss Valerie about going back to the way it used to be done, because that seemed to get a much more accurate assessment, because I noticed that their reading scores just nosedived after they had been on that test an hour or so. So, I don't feel like we can necessarily trust like the benchmarks, but we definitely were showing some gains. You know, whether it was, you know, just gains that they should have, like they should have at least a gain of 40. So, you know, we had several that had that 40 gain. We had some with 100, 150, and we had so many with 200.
Wow.
Which, wait, no. It also goes back to there's some of them that I think dumped their score purposely at the beginning of the year so that they could show the giant jump. I'm telling you, y'all.
They work hard at elementary children.
Yeah. It's tough. So
it's hard to keep it ahead of them.
They found a way to block it on Go Guardian, like where we were noticing like a clear screen was coming up, but it still looked like they were doing their stuff. Well, Dennis they were hacking it where we couldn't see it, and they were still doing
So if we know for sure their computer skills are excellent. They're the right children forever the And also, we're doing the practice with them, but we do not trust that this year's scores are accurate. But as far as the Reading Plus scores I do trust that they were accurate, and we were really excited to see that we have several more who are reading above grade level with just 4 months of practice, several more that are at grade level with 4 months, and then of course the below grade level has dropped because these two increased. So that was really good to see. I don't think they figured out how to cheat.
They haven't.
Well, I mean, like, it's harder as long, it's harder. I'm not saying they can't.
They'll figure out a way.
It's definitely a little bit harder for them too. And then here's some ACT growth for you. So I was really excited to see that, and this is guys, ACT growth is everybody effort. Everybody, every grade level, everybody effort. And we, the past 2 years, we have shown gains. And so, I was really excited to see that. I think we were sitting at like a 17.9, and
And the state average is a 17.6.
I mean, it's really,
Yeah.
we're
So
right
above
in
state
there.
average. And this is what counts on our report card.
That
So
A
the
through F.
ACT is the only test, for the high school that does count toward the report card and the science, the junior science test, so.
Yeah. So this 2024, score, that would have
Yeah.
gotten figured in on the
On
the most recent
Yeah.
A through F, report card. And I'm gonna let
Okay.
Casey take it away.
I'm gonna
I'm
go
just
really
giving,
quick.
I'm giving you the, yes.
I'm gonna go really quick because, like she said, we could talk about this all day. Literally, we've worked with, I know several people in here, the same thing. We've met with State Department officials about the state report card. We've met, with everyone I meet about, and I get fired up about it because, like, I want Stigler to win at everything. And so we're like, tell us the end, like, how do we do this? So, one of the things that they did give us this year was a comparison option on the website. So you can literally pull up our report card at any other school and it'll go side by side. And so we were like, okay, we know that we're this percentage, but again,
What's the next
what,
level?
what do we need to do to get to the next level? And so the best way we figured to do that was to pick a comparable school that had a grade letter above us. And how close are we in each category to them? So I'll go through this quickly. If y'all want to follow up, if you want me to go through it with you, I'm happy to, but I know y'all have been here. Wow, did I just click that thing?
Yes.
Okay, so this is us on our academic achievement is a D. We're still higher than the state average, as we said, but that is still a D. There's that. But as you can see here, we're just a few percentages away from a C on that. And we have several things that we're doing. Mr. Shepard met with our entire faculty during the professional development day, and we talked about these indicators, and we talked about ACT prep, what we're increasing for every single grade level. One of the things that I know that we're wanting to do is ACT 10th grade, and then you've got that junior test that counts pre-ACT as a freshman. We're talking about a lot of different things that we can do. And our faculty had some really, really great input on what we're already doing that we can increase this with. Like Ms. Henson said, our academic achievement for the high school is just the ACT for math, English, and reading, and then the junior science test. So that's an everybody prep. That's from 9th through 12th, every subject, whether you're art class, you can do 15 minutes of our ACT prep program. So that's something that we talked about. But we're very close to that next percentage there. So we're hoping that with those changes that we can do that. Okay, and so here's like our performance over time. So this is English. And so again, we have that C, there's a B on that, and so we're comparing those. We have an uptick here, hopefully that will continue. And then we've got math that stayed, pretty level. And then science, again, is that junior science test. So our science department is for prepping them for 2 tests, because they take the ACT science that has nothing to do with our report card, but it does help them. It helps them for scholarships. It helps them to get into college. And then they're also prepping for this junior science test, and they're completely unrelated.
Yeah.
So we're looking at different ways that we can assist in that as well. Okay, on our on chronic absenteeism, we have a B, but again, very, very close here. What can we do to bump that up to an A? So we've talked about different policies and different things that we can look into updating as far as our attendance goes, incentives as well. We've discussed the test incentive because this school does that. So what we also looked at when we were looking at these comparisons were what is this school doing that we're not doing? I've talked with their counselor about different things that they're doing. So what are the things that we already have that we're just not, we haven't filled out the paperwork for? What are the things that we can add that won't be a burden to our staff that we can just incorporate to what we're already doing? So these are post-secondary opportunities, and this is where it's killing us. And like we said, we have a ton of students who are in KTC, right, who are getting certified and are employed when they graduate. But it really doesn't help us here, unfortunately. It should, right, but it doesn't. So what we're looking at are those CTE exams. It's basically a specific test that the state wants you to take. It's available through AG program and also our TSA program, which they're both looking into taking. which would increase that. What this school also does is an internship program. And so I've got all the documentation for that we're talking about. It's intensive. Yes?
Okay, post-secondary opportunities, does that
Yeah.
mean you meet the acceptance requirements? What does that mean? I don't guess I understand this.
It's like opportunities for them for when they graduate high school, essentially. Like, what are we doing while they're in high school that's helping them be a step ahead? Which you would think.
I just know how to quantify that.
Yeah, exactly.
So like
Yeah.
concurrent enrollment,
Concurrent enrollment, which we
AP
have,
classes.
yeah,
And these
these
certifications.
certification exams.
Mhm.
But you know, all of our KTC students are certified when they graduate, but again.
And it didn't count, but those
But
don't
it doesn't
count in
count,
that,
sir.
then- okay, yeah.
So you would
Not even
think,
vote taking.
because, I mean, that's.
So that's not really,
I wish it
fair
did, but it's
or
really
accurate,
not,
it is.
because so many of our students
Okay.
are, man, they're ready to go to work, like they're more qualified, like they've already got a certification when they graduate.
Well, even like taking the work keys.
Yeah, assessment.
So that's, we're adding that.
We're adding that,
Mhm.
so it's basically checking their boxes. But there are things that we can do, to try to increase that. So that's the one where there's just the major difference, and it's gonna be those CTE exams and the internship program that they have available, which it, like I said, is a lot. Like if a student actually wants to participate in that program, it's a lot of steps for them to do that. But I know that's been a really successful program for them, so we're talking to them about that to get more information. So that's just a performance over time for post-secondary opportunities. We have a lot of students in concurrent enrollment. A lot are taking college classes.
But in
Yes.
school on this side,
Yeah.
I mean, look where they're at in 2018,
Mhm.
2019, 22, then all of a sudden they kick up.
Yes.
I mean, that don't look like, ours looks more like an actual representation of how it should be going.
Mhm.
It's like something happened and they
Added that internship.
it's an
program.
internship
yeah,
program.
added something there
Yeah.
that kicked theirs way up and.
Yes.
Yeah, there's so many of their students that do not come to the school a single hour.
Yeah.
They go to
So-
that, yeah.
It's a very, that internship program, a lot of the students participate in it there. And so that's gonna be that uptick, is because they added that program. Yeah, that would be my guess anyway. When I talked to their counselor, she said that was a major, thing that improved their
And
report
with
card.
that, are you guys responsible for like having the
That's the question.
access to
You'd
the
have to
intern?
staff that.
So this school has 2 counselors, one, like focused on college, et cetera. She's the one who manages that, and then another one that deals with other matters. So we would have to figure out how that would work. And so we're trying to figure out what, all the paperwork, all the steps that you have to go through for this to even count for the state. And then go from there on that, because it would be somebody managing it, because the students have to turn in their work logs, they have to turn in sheets, from the employer, they have, so it's a lot of paperwork, but we're checking into it to see
Right.
what we can do about it, because that would be a great opportunity for the students as well.
When you're talking about internships, so if they're doing automotive at KTC, then they could do an internship at Dunn or at Williams.
I would hope so.
And same way with
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
those who doing their CNA, they could do it at the
Right, and
hospital or
we
at the
have
nursing
students that
home.
are already doing
Yes.
it.
Yeah, they're already doing
They're
their
already doing
clinicals
it.
there.
Need the-
It's just the paperwork, so
I
we're,
work in McAllister, and McAllister High School does it, so we get a lot of kids
Okay.
that do it with us.
okay,
But
So-
it requires the school contacting us, we have to do paperwork to accept those kids as an intern.
Right.
And what that looks like, they're also getting out of school, and yes, it's beneficial, but they're just coming to watch us work,
Right.
essentially.
right.
So is that more beneficial than not being in the classroom?
Yeah,
And
I
limited
know.
opportunities in Stigler.
In Stigler, yeah. So it is harder, because I know that several of the students at this school travel
Yeah.
a bit.
Yeah.
So that's the thing too. So we're looking and seeing, like with the addition of the work keys, with the CTE assessments, if that can increase.
Pros and cons.
And where, if it's students that are already doing this because they have KTC, it wouldn't be as much of a deal. Because that employer already has them hired, all of that. So that's what we're really trying to see is what can we do, what are we already doing? Because like you said, you wanna do what's most beneficial for the student. Them being out of the classroom and not getting something that they would gain in the classroom is not as beneficial, right? This would have to be some sort of, where they only took one concurrent class, and then this is in place of a concurrent hour, thing like that. So there's a lot with that
Yeah.
internship program to have to figure out. But it's something we're looking at.
Right.
And then, so our overall, you can see we're within 10% of that jump. And I really think with all of the increased ACT prep that we're going to do, that hopefully that academic achievement will increase. So, yeah. And yours,
I think
okay.
you've probably already hit,
Sorry,
but keep
yeah.
going, I mean.
These are some of the things that we have talked about. The ACT, and we've actually met with another school as well, that they, over the course of 5 years, have consistently gone up. They are so helpful. It's Sulphur High School. They're so helpful. I know Mr. Shepherd has spoken with them as well. But they do, test prep's a big thing. It's like a big positive thing. Testing week is a huge thing. They prep all 4 years. It is a common, their bell ringers in their classrooms are ACT questions. I mean, it's a whole culture. Everybody's like, let's help these kids because this is the test that helps them get scholarships. This is the test that helps them,
Exactly.
in their future. And so we're really looking at a lot of the things that they do because they said, it's a process to get there, but once you do, and these students are used to the language from the time that they're younger on all the way up. So we're hoping to do a lot of these different things, including educating our teachers on what they can do. And I know some of them already have. Since we met the other day with the faculty, they're like, okay, the last 15 minutes, we're doing this ACT prep in IXL. Because we already have IXL programs where a student can have an individualized ACT prep program for that student. So a lot of our teachers are utilizing that. We talked about work keys testing and all of those things. This is the exemption for semester test I did that the other school did, and it's, A average, 3 absentees. They don't have to take that semester test. So that's something that we're talking about as well. The other school has Saturday school, but we already have Stigler Learning Academy where we have teachers already staffing during the week in the evenings. So we're looking at making up attendance that way. I mean, so these schools also let their students make up attendance. And so, but if we're already staffing this after hours, it could be something we're able to add. These are just comparisons. I'm not going to go through all this with y'all. Like I said, I could, but this is that school's handbook, and so it's policies and things that they do with their attendance and things like that we've already talked about.
I'm excited. This is good stuff for me. I'll tell you what, it's all good to me. I mean, you guys are passionate about it, and it seems it's great,
Thank you guys so much.
Thank
We really
you.
Appreciate you coming and explaining.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
And if y'all ever want to go through it,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
excellent. Thank you guys.
You couldn't explain it to Whitson, he wouldn't get it. I've been trying to explain stuff to him for a second.
The blind leading the blind. Thank you, guys.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
You can't run
Okay. Public comment. The Board of Education invites public comment at this point in the regular meeting. Comments concerning agenda items in accordance with policy BED-R. There's no one here for that. Information items, superintendent's report.
Okay, I decided to keep this pretty short, but the first thing I want to say is you guys probably know January is School Board Appreciation Month. And I want to take a moment to publicly recognize and thank our school board for their selfless dedication to serving Stigler School District students. We are grateful for the hard work and dedication of our school board, and we celebrate your service during School Board Recognition Month. Being a school board member is a critical leadership role in our community, and we appreciate your sacrifice and selfless service to the students and staff of Stigler Public Schools. So on behalf of all of our staff and students, I want to say thank you. We really appreciate you guys. And that is all for the superintendent's report.
Okay, action topics. Action may be taken. Consideration of approval of the FY25 audit.
As they presented it, like I said, I think everything went pretty well. At one deal, we have that taken, because they just never asked for it, so.
We had it, we just didn't.
Well, it wasn't attached to the PO. It was actually, so.
Make those approve the 25 audit. Second?
Motion by Kenny to approve the FY '25 audit, seconded by Brett. Kenny?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Carly?
Yes.
And David, yes. Consideration of the Internet Access Statement and Remote Access Certification for the 2026-27 E-rate application.
Okay, this is something we have to do each year, and the Internet Access Statement certifies that we will only provide internet access to eligible users at eligible locations, and the Remote Access Certification certifies that we will not provide home internet access.
I make a motion to approve the Internet Access Statement and Remote Access Certification for the 2026-2027 E-rate application.
I'll second.
Motion by Carly to approve the Internet Access Statement and Remote Access Certification for the 2026-27 E-rate application, seconded by Jennifer. Carly?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Kenny?
Yes.
And David, yes. Consideration of waiving the absentee policy for the qualifying students.
Okay, we do this each semester. Our attendance committee reviews the attendance of high school students with more than 10 absences. The committee has carefully considered each student and their situation, and I would recommend approving the waivers as listed.
Or they talked about having a way to make up their days. Are we gonna have a policy on that eventually?
Yeah, and most like if these were over their 10 days and they wanted to make them up and they wanted, it would probably be no problem.
Okay.
It's, most of the time, like if you look, most of these are granted. There's some that aren't granted, like they don't ever show up, and like those, I mean, they're not gonna show up to make them up.
Yeah, okay.
That's kind of one of the deals.
I just, when she was talking about.
Yeah, I
it,
mean, it would be offered, and, you know, and if, a lot of times, like they're 11 or 12, then maybe if some reason, then it's waived. That's why you see most of these are waived. There's a few not, and they kind of go through, you know, sometimes first or they missed a bunch first hour or something, they missed just way too many, and then,
I'll make a motion to approve the absentee policy for the qualifying students.
I'll second.
Motion by Kenny to approve the waiving of the absentee policy for qualifying students, seconded by Jennifer. Kenny?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Carly?
Yes.
David, yes. Consideration of increasing the travel mileage reimbursement rate from .70 cents to 72.5 cents per mile effective January 13th, 2026.
okay, the IRS has increased the mileage reimbursement rate, and we typically follow the IRS standard mileage rate.
Make a motion, we approve the travel mileage to the IRS rate of from 70 cents to 72.5 cents per mile effective January 13th, 2026.
I'll second.
Motion by Brett to increase the travel mileage reimbursement rate from 70 cents to 72.5% per mile effective January 13th, 2026, seconded by Jennifer. Brett?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Kenny?
Yes.
Carly?
Yes.
David, yes. Consideration of recommended bids to remodel first grade elementary classroom addition and construct a new corridor.
Okay, these are the bids to replace the roof and construct a new corridor addition at the first and fourth grade elementary building. And the GMP, they have a guaranteed maximum price of $1,148,458. So this agenda topic is to approve the bids through a consent agenda. So basically it means we will approve each trade's bids in a single vote. And then the next action topic, we'll vote to assign the bids to the construction manager. And that's John Humphrey. He's here tonight if you guys have any questions. This procedure allows us to accept bids from different subcontractors. We pay our construction manager, Stout Construction, who ensures the subcontractors complete the work and pays for them. So on that first page, you'll see the guaranteed maximum price is $1,148,458. A few notes, and one of the big one is, you know, bumpers. He saves about $80,000 again. So we really want to say thank you to him.
Yeah.
But they have to put in there that basically that if that doesn't happen, we have to cover it. So that's what that one of those notes are. And then there's a few bids that are highlighted. If you look on that second page, there's like masonry. Some of those we didn't get bids, and so basically they've got an amount that probably will cover it. But if it's a little less, then that SPS contingency, that's kind of a $50,000 for any overages is already approved. Basically, if there is any overages, they'll come talk to me and we'll go through them. And but if all of a sudden it's real cheap, we put that excess in the contingency fund, and so, you
And so
guys,
where do the funds ultimately come from for this project?
us, that's that 1.7.
The building
yeah.
fund
So then
that-
basically this isn't counting the architect, that's about 75,000 more.
Okay, and so we're approving in a consent agenda all
All
of
these
the
bids.
bids.
Right, for a guaranteed maximum price of $1,148,000.
Y'all will administer ultimately, and the contractors are already, are they as?
Yeah, we've already got the bids for everything except for those couple of those highlighted ones, and they're kind of the minor ones.
So
like
you know
some-
who the contractors are gonna be?
Yeah, yeah, we've already got the bids and all that,
So it's 1,225,000 basically.
basically. Yeah.
So we'll still have
About 500.
500,000 left.
Yeah,
in
and that's
it.
not
Yeah.
counting, we get, through ad valorem, we always get about 200,000.
Yeah,
And Redbud, last year, Redbud, we got about 453,000. So before the end of June, we'll have another 600,000.
okay.
So we'll have about 1.1 at the end of this project. It won't be done by the end of.
Back in the.
Right, to be back there.
And on this, and I'm sure you went over this and I missed it, so I apologize. Is this redoing any existing classrooms?
No, we'll do remodel, it's the roof. And then the
Okay.
front is that corridor. Right now, when they come out of their classroom, they're outside. It's gonna be basically a big hallway.
So this is roof and corridor.
Roof and corridor.
What is the alternate list on that next page?
Alternate is that the base bid was just the corridor. The alternate bid is for that, the one we took was the tower entry. See it on this. Basically, instead of just a long hallway, it's got like kind of an open, main entryway.
Yeah.
Eventually, we're gonna make this early childhood center, so it needs to have a front entryway. The one we did not do is the extra, the canopy. We'll kind of look at that later after we get closer and see about that.
So this is the roof and just the
Corridor.
corridor to
Right.
tie everything together.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
An enclosed corridor?
Yeah, it's like, basically it's,
It's like what's existing now, correct?
this is kind of what it would look like, right?
Okay.
Like they come in, so that way when they come out, they're not outside. We have full coverage.
And then the plan is for us to do the inside later.
Yeah, we're doing the inside, yeah. Cause then the main thing will be there, we'll do like bids for like some of the remodel the bathroom, there's a lot of bathrooms, things like that. But
Just as
we
we
can
go
kind of do
get
all that.
the bids and stuff.
The roof's the main thing to have.
Roof's the big, that's the
Yeah.
first one. We can't do anything till we do that.
Make a motion, we approve the bids for the remodel of the first grade elementary classroom addition and construct a new corridor as recommended by Stout Construction with anticipated cost of $1.148 million.
I'll second.
Motion by Brett to approve the bids for remodel of first grade elementary classroom addition and construct a new corridor as recommended by Stout Construction with an anticipated cost of $1,148,458. Seconded by Kenny. Brett?
Yes.
Kenny?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Carly?
Yes.
David, yes.
Well, good to see everybody.
You got to learn a little bit about our school tonight.
Pretty interesting stuff. Tough job.
Thanks for coming.
Consideration
Probably
to,
really enjoyed that audit discussion.
Yeah, I know.
consideration to assign the approved bids to Stout Construction under our previous approved construction management contract.
Yeah, so basically we accepted the bid and now we assign them to him because he's responsible for it.
Make motion to assign the approved bids to Stout Construction under our previously approved construction management contract.
I second.
Motion by Kenny to approve the assignment of approved bids to Stout Construction under our previously approved construction management contract. Seconded by Carly. Kenny?
Yes.
Carly?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
David, yes. New business.
No new business.
Motion we adjourn.
A second.
Was that you?
Second that.
Motion by Kenny, seconded by Jennifer to adjourn. Kenny?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Carly?
Yes.
David, yes.
7:04 p.m.
7:04 p.m.
Pretty quick, didn't